Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this virtual Oversight Committee meeting to order. It is 8 a.m. Before we begin the roll call, there's a couple of points we'd like to go over. First of all, Dr. Rice has eagerly accepted the role as designated survivor and is present physically in Austin today. This is in keeping with the Texas Open Meetings Act and allows us to have this virtual oversight committee meeting as long as one of our members is physically present in Austin and the remaining members can be seen and heard virtually. For that reason, members, please leave your cameras on for the entire meeting, but mute your microphone unless you are answering a question, asking a question, or voting. On that note, we do want to thank the CPRIT staff for their diligent support as usual. And finally, as Dr. Rice is present, he will serve as this meeting's presiding officer, and it aligns with the Texas Open Meetings Act and with our Oversight Committee bylaws. So with that, I gladly turn the virtual gavel over to Dr. Rice.
Thank you. I will be adding this honor today to my resume. One more secret honor. Ms. Payne, will you call the roll?
Dr. Cummings?
Present.
Mr. Margot?
Here.
Mr. Montgomery?
Here.
Dr. Patel?
Yeah.
Dr. Rice?
Here.
Dr. Rosenfeld?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Turning to agenda item 4, I recognize Ms. McConnell to address the item.
Thank you, Dr. Rice. And good morning, members. So we are requesting that the agency's LAR request for the 2026-27 biennium be amended to include an additional exceptional item to cover our capital budget in order for us to be able to procure a new grant management platform, or GMP, through the auspices of the Department of Information Resources. And I know there are a lot of acronyms in the memo related to DIR, including the Technology Solution Services, Data Center Services, which are the programs that they run through there. So I may use them interchangeably, but basically what we would be doing is working with DIR and their vendors that help manage these programs, and DIR holds all these contracts to acquire the new GMP. This would replace the software as a service subscription that we currently have through our overall grant management support services contract with GDIT. And it will go through all of DIR's procurement processes. And then also they will actually acquire the software license and through their vendors actually develop the system that we need. We do intend to look at off-the-shelf systems that already exist and have basic platforms, but they will have to be configured for CPRIT's particular grant programs. And even amongst our grant programs, between prevention, product development research, and academic research, there are significant differences in those business processes. So all of that will have to be configured. But from the research that has already occurred by the staff since last fall, we have seen that these systems have the basic platforms available already. As outlined in the memo, the fiscal year 26 costs would be estimated a total of almost $10.2 million. There is a technology solution services assessment that has to occur first, and that's about $560,000. And that will include, kind of evaluating what we have currently, how it works, looking at the systems that are available, stakeholder interviews, as well as an implementation roadmap, so that when we get to the point of acquiring whatever system, some of the base work is already done, so that won't delay moving forward. Once the acquisition costs, then the acquisition costs as well as development costs, integration with other systems like CAPS, change management and training, which obviously will be key internally to CPRIT, as well as to all of our grantees. Cybersecurity, maintenance and operations, and help desk support is an estimated, and this is a very rough estimate, of $9.6 million. And then the recurring costs that are outlined for 2027 would include the software license, maintenance and operations, and help desk support of about estimated 1.45 million. The money, obviously, we only have the $300 million in appropriations of our bond proceeds. So in order to do this, we do not have excess operating money, so we will have to transfer money from our grant award strategies, both research and prevention, proportionately the 90 and 10%, just based on how that breaks down, to our operating budget in order to pay for these services. And we do need this is important. I mean, we have to go through this legislative appropriations request process because we actually have to have a capital budget authority in our bill pattern in order to pursue this. Technically, we're paying for services through DIR. So it's not really capital because, again, they will hold the contract, whatever contract we have, and they will really manage and oversee our contract. We will work with them, but they will oversee all of that. So, but the way that it is structured in in the bills, in the Appropriations Act, they are considered capital budget items for all agencies. One other thing I want to say about this process is that the data center services, which kind of is the umbrella for the technology solution services and everything else that DIR does in terms of outsourcing for state agencies, is that the legislature has confidence in this process. So it is different from the agency kind of doing this whole procurement on our own, because we would have to do the assessment piece, we would have to then do the full procurement, the RFP, evaluation, et cetera. So this will be an extreme help, both because the legislature understands what DIR does and again, trusts their oversight of this program. But then it takes a lot of the burden off of the agency. One thing in terms of cost, because they are, like I said, the GMP solution acquisition and implementation is really a rough order of magnitude. If for any reason the costs go a little higher than the 9.6 million, there is the ability for the agency to transfer up to an additional 25% of our capital budget. This is already written into the Appropriations Act. And so obviously we would come to you for requesting that authority. But there is that ability because, again, these are all guesses, but relatively good guesses based on the business processes that are understood, but they are guesses. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions.
Members, questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I got a couple.
Oh, please.
Well, in like 15 seconds, could you explain why we're having this change?
So, so the software as a service grant management platform that we use currently through our contract with GDIT is actually a piecemeal of 3 different platforms. So the application receipt system is actually separate from the peer review system, which is separate from the post-award grant management system. So that's all kind of put together. It works, but it is not a seamless system, and there's not a single backend for all of that in terms of a database. And that has presented issues for us in terms of aggregating data and even doing data analysis on all of the grant awards that we have given and will give. In addition, it is very old technology and requires extensive coding. So every time we want to make a change to the system, even if it's simply instructions that have, words that have to be changed, it requires coding, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of money to make each and every one of those changes.
So we're increasing the efficiency of this,
Yes.
okay, I got it. And will the net be that it's gonna result in less expenditure on software or cost more on software than we're paying now?
We believe so. Ultimately, it will. Now, for the short term, the next biennium, we will, we'll have to continue to run the software as a service platform through GDIT, because we still have to manage all of our applications and our post-award management. But in the long, and then try to get the system developed and online. But once we were able to cut over to it, we do believe that the overall net result will be reduced costs, and greater efficiency for the agency.
Thank you.
Other questions? I'll ask one brief one. If this process proceeds as planned and everything goes well and all this, when would we start using the new system? Would that be in 2028 or something like that?
Definitely by 2028, because we want to be off of the grant management platform with GDIT by the end of fiscal year 27.
Okay.
But potentially we may be able to start sooner. It all depends on how quickly the process can move forward. And some of we don't have an exact timeline for, acquisition and there are some things that, like, when you look at it, they're estimating take a year, but then there's I think some of those things may be able to occur concurrently versus sequentially.
Yeah. Was there one other question, Dr. Patel or Ms. Margot?
On the request, I'm not clear, is the request for allocation of our funds to apply to this, to create this capital budget, so to speak, or are we at the same time asking for more money for this?
It is to create the capital budget authority in our bill and simply transfer money from our grant award strategies to our operating strategy in order to accomplish that. It's not for additional funds.
Are we going to look at applying for additional funds in the future?
Unfortunately, we can't. Well, we could.
We can't now. I know we can't now, but.
It would be general revenue. Because we are capped at our $300 million constitutionally because of the what we can actually issue in terms of law.
Okay. That was it.
Thank you. Dr. Patel, did you raise your hand? I just was trying to make sure I was reading the room.
No, I was just flabbergasted, but probably the language they're using is COBOL or Pascal.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor.
First of all, I was going to complain. I'm just getting used to the medical acronyms. Now we're getting tech acronyms. I'm going to have a whole nother list of dictionary terms set up. I asked Heidi last night after reading this is going to be a turnkey contract with the state, so the state won't be coming back to us once they get in and figure out what we need. Or I'm assuming the contract hadn't been negotiated yet, but.
Correct. Yes. It hasn't, but again, the 9.6 million is a really rough order of magnitude estimate, and it could go higher potentially. So again, we do have the ability to move money because of some language in the Appropriations Act that gives agencies that authority, but we would be coming back to you to explain that if we had to.
But once it's all set up, all we have is the recurring cost every year.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions before we have a motion?
Bill, who will have access to this data since it's going to be run by the state and covered by the state? Is it exclusively CPRIT staff?
It is, of course, we publish a lot of our data, and so actually we will be able to make more data available because part of the plan, I mean, right now we use Tableau, and we have a database that we can extract some of the data that is being published from Tableau, but there is a lot of data that exists in our current grant management platform that is still difficult to access and kind of make public. So there will still be that interface, and it will be essentially kind of built in, or it'll be automatically connected to a Tableau or something else like that, a data analysis tool and visualization tool that will allow actually greater access to the information that the agency has about all of our grants.
Thank you.
And you made me think, I thought you were asking a different question. I'm sorry to extend the conversation just to 10 seconds, but we'll also, of course, even though it'll be housed maybe in a state data warehouse and some cloud somewhere, it maintains, of course, all the confidentiality we need for all kinds of things that are part of the grant.
Yes.
And that would be secret only, I'm sure. and
Yes,
would be allowed to
secret
be,
in our grant.
et cetera.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
presuming that's.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. And there would be I mean, just like we have now with our grant management platforms, because they are managed by GDIT, there's segregation. Because they have other clients, obviously. So our grant management platform is just ours. The data is ours. That would be the same with this new system.
Ah, thank you. We won't have a 19-year-old running through our data, I suppose.
Right.
No.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, could you call for a vote?
Yes. Are you ready for a vote? Well, we need
Yes.
a
Very much so.
motion. We need a motion for CPRIT's legislative appropriations request for 2026, 2027.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business before us?
I want to remind everyone that Vanderbilt plays today at 2:15 Central Time.
Thank you, Mr. Margot. Is there a motion for us to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you all. Have a good day.